Hey everybody, good evening, good evening. Hope everybody's having a good week so far. Just double check the sound here. Oh, we had I had some issues with the camera and stuff for reboot, and camera didn't want to work, so I had to get involved with that. But yeah, so another week has gone by. Hey Rick, how you doing? I did trying to get the NASCAR Cup Car project videos caught up, so I did put a new one out about the exhaust and the stickers on the car numbers, and what was the other thing on there? Side skirts and stuff. So yeah, we've got that out there. Hope you guys took a peek at that thing. Hey Ryan, how you doing? I did get caught, not caught, but somebody watched the video and did put in the comments that the Winston Racing stickers should have been Winston Cup. And sure enough, I went back through the video, through the pictures and stuff of the car, and it was indeed Winston Cup on that sticker. But that was one I had in a bundle of stickers that I had gotten from Doug, and I didn't even take a peek at it. I scraped them off. They came off in chunks, so I really didn't have anything to go by, and I just stuck the Winston Racing ones on. And being the gentleman that called me out was correct, I went ahead and got some new ones coming. Thanks, Mike. How you doing? So that was kind of a catch-up. I'm going to try to get the Darlington event video out this weekend, and then follow it up by the transmission video, and then hopefully when that's done, I'll go ahead and be able to do a walk around. I did post the car on Racing Junk for sale. It's both in asphalt NASCAR section and also in road racing vintage NASCAR slot. So I have it listed in two different places, but I want to get a walk around video done. I want to get all the ones on the channel caught up, so I'm going to work on that real hard and try to be diligent on that. So we worked on Chuck's truck this weekend. We got the motor and transmission installed, so I'll show you guys some pictures on that. And I got the shifter console slash ECU mount built for the all-neck C60 truck. And I was going to try to do a tech video on welding this week, but when I did the video on the console, I saw that you really can't see anything on, it's just a bright light at the welding joint. So I'm trying to find the proper filters to use that I can show the puddle on the weld puddle, so that I can go ahead and do a tech show on welding, both stainless and aluminum. Of course, steel and titanium are basically all the same thing. Once you see how to do a steel or stainless piece, that's all pretty much all the same. And so is once you see aluminum, pretty much all the aluminum is all done the same way. So but without being able to see the weld puddle, it's not really going to make very much sense. So I'm working on that, but we will get that going. But yeah, so that's kind of where we were at. I did go up and try to get some stuff done to the all-neck, the transmission harness installed. I had to bring the console back. I'm gonna have to make some modifications. I built that just here in the shop, and the truck is 25 miles away, so I wasn't able to verify my drawings to the actual vehicle, so I had to make some changes to it. So I'm going to get that done, and then you know, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I went ahead and rebuilt the front end of my truck, and when you know it, the remanufactured power steering box blew the pitman shaft seal out the other day. So I've been truckless. So got that exchanged today, but I don't have it back finished. I'm going to try to get it finished tomorrow. So we'll get some more stuff on the all-neck once I get that done. The dry shaft should be done. I'm pretty much close to everything else. I'm going to have to build the core support, so I got to do some metal work on that. So we'll get all that stuff caught up here shortly. We were supposed to take the Cup car up to Road Atlanta this coming weekend, but that does not look like it's going to happen now that the truck is down, and that put me a couple days behind. Hi Sharon and Pat, how you doing? So that was yes, that kind of threw a monkey wrench into the week's stuff, but I'm gonna go ahead and stay here at the shop tomorrow, get the truck finished, get the shift console done, and I want to make some mods to Dave's Chevelle so we can start getting all the driving done on that. And probably going to do a distributor ignition sniper modification maybe on Friday, so maybe I'll get some video on that too. So I guess first thing we'll do is let's go ahead and take a look at Chuck's truck, where we're at with that. I mean, that's what I showed on the thumbnail, the teaser, as you know, if you will. So there's the truck. It's obviously dusty from the body shop, but we were able to get everything going on it. So I just wanted to get a picture. Now it's got the engine in the car or in the truck. We had to adjust the ride height a little bit, but that's fairly close to final ride height. Hey Darren, how you doing? Yeah, you're on time, man. So like I said, that's pretty much the ride height now on Chuck's truck. We have to change wheels to really put at the final ride height. Hey John, how you doing? The offset on these wheels is a little bit too, I guess it would be a negative offset, so the wheels stick out too far. They're close to the edge of the fender, so they'll rub if we drop the truck any more than that. But there's the engine installed. Nice thing is we already had it kind of fully dressed. But yeah, so that's the 383. It's a 5.3 iron block, punched 100 over with a 4-inch stroker kit, which makes it come out to a 383. It's got ported LS1 cylinder heads on it. Pretty good turbo grind. Obviously the Holley EFI high ram, 120-pound injectors, and the Holley serpentine drive setup. I really love those setups. They just work. Everything's so compact, and the water pump housing or the water pump casting is actually all the brackets. So the water pump itself is just an LT1 style, so you can just change it out without having to undo any of the brackets or any of that stuff. And of course, it's got Flowtech turbo headers. There's a good side shot. Headers fit real well on the truck, and I believe they're going to give me enough access to drop the downpipes down along the bottom of the frame and still have good access to the spark plugs. We'll see how that all works out, but that's the thought process of what we're going to try to do. There's the other side. You can see there's quite a bit of room down here. I don't think it's going to be any problem at all to run 3-inch downpipes. Of course, the turbos we're going to use on this thing are STS ceramic bearing turbos. It's something I had gotten on a killer deal when I was working with the Fitty, my 1950 Chevy. and I decided not to turbocharge it for autocross. Just figured it would, make it too hard to drive. But I think they're going to work good on here. They may be on a tick on the small side. We'll see how that works out. But of course, Chuck's vehicle is more of a show and go than really make horsepower. Yeah, Bluetooth master cylinder. No, we just haven't gotten all that stuff in. We're going to put Hydro Boost on it. My buddies up at Pros Tuning, they make a bracket for the OBS. And then I guess get a Bosch a Hydro Boost, put that in there. And of course, hook it to the Willwood Master we already have. The vehicle's already got 14-inch rotors all the way around with 6-inch, 6 piston calipers in the front, 4 in the back. So stopping should be a new thing on this vehicle that it's never had before. Yeah, I don't think we're going to coat the headers, Mike. They're stainless, so I kind of like how the stainless turn brownish blue. I think that has a really cool look. Unless they do something funky, then we may do a titanium coating on them. But for right now, I think we're just going to leave it like it is. So there's a good shot at the Holley mid-mount system. So you can see the water pump pulley has 6 holes in it. That's so you can rotate the pulley to the bolts, and you can unbolt the water pump cartridge that would be like in an LT1, LT4 engine. So it makes it real easy to, service the water pump. Hey, Chris, how you doing? And of course, all the rest of the casting of the water pump is the mounts for the alternator AC and power steering, and it gets it up nice. Fits in all the other GM cars real nice around the power steering gearbox and everything. Just works out real well. There's the screen. So we got I got a OBS dash insert when it was 3D printed, and then Bobby down at the body shop went ahead and sanded and did some body work to get rid of all the 3D printing lines and shot it in a matte black, and we're going to put the 686 dash in the thing, so that's going to be real nice over the old school analog gauges that came in those trucks from the factory. Plus it gives it a GPS speedometer, and of course it reads all the sensors in the Holley. Plus you can do a bunch of warning lights and shift lights and stuff, so I think it would be a real nice addition. And then there's the 4L80, which worked out really good. All we had to do is flip the cross member 180 degrees and drill a new hole for the trans mount, and it went right back into the stock location. When it's on the 700R4, the back that we're looking at is actually the front, and it's kind of tilted forward to catch the 700R4. When you flip it over backward, flip it around 180, that pushes that forward piece back towards us and gave us a location for the 4L80 right on the stock mounts. That worked out real nice. Yeah, Darren, that accessory drive is great. I've probably used 10 of them now, and it just fits everything really good. Yeah, John, you're right. OBS never had good brakes. This truck, we had done disc brake conversion in the rear. We did power master cylinder conversions 2 times. We did proportioning valve upgrades, and eliminated the rear ABS. Never could get the brakes to work well. I know from using all these Willwood kits that this thing will have phenomenal brakes when we're done now. And then there's just showing what the beautiful thing about having doing a truck is we have tons of room for the cooler lines, which like in Dave's Chevelle, we actually had to build a hump in the tunnel to clear the cooler line fittings. And there's the driver's side again, plenty of room. Didn't have to do anything to the floor or anything like that. Just fits right in like it belongs. Actually, if this truck was a SS 454, they came with the 4L80, so you know it would already had fit. GM already had checked that out. Here, Holley mounts, which go right to the stock frame mounts. We were able to use the GM, what do they call it? So this is their oil pan kit that they sell for late or for early model resto mods. Let me tell you, that pan does not fit a car at all. It hangs way down too low. But we've purchased this one a while ago for another project, actually for Dave Chevelle, and it didn't fit. And so I had it laying on the shelf, and it fits this thing perfectly. It gives us plenty of room. And the nice thing about using the GM Goodwrench LS version torque converter is you can see the gap is between the flywheel is perfect, and it already has an extended snout to catch the LS crankshaft without having to run a spacer or anything. And you can see in this thing, it's got a billet front cover with a huge lockup, and then the rear portion is fairly small. This is about a 3,500 stall in the converter, so that should work out real nice. So that's that all came out real nice in there, and just plenty of room for the dipstick and stuff. I didn't put the dipstick in yet, but plenty of room. Yeah, I do remember that, Darren. The SS 454s were tough as hell. Just really bad cylinder heads. You can remember all the stuff we did to Rob's 3500, making that a go fast lawn service truck back in the day. That was a lot of fun. There's a good shot at the oil pan. You can see in a pickup truck that oil pan works excellent. That's about the only application I found so far where it does work good. And then I went ahead and installed a drain back bung in the front of the pan for the turbo dumps. And this is a good shot on the oh wow, Mike, I didn't know you had one too. You can see that another option that they give you with this GM with the Holley mid mount is your heater hose bungs. You can either run them out the side or out the bottom, or plug them all off completely. Oh, yours had the 370. Oh, okay, yeah, 90. That's right. Yeah, 91 would have had the 4L80, or 92 would have, but not the 90. You're right. But yes, that's a really good drive system, and it all worked out well. There's a good shot of the entire running gear with all the new suspension and everything. So we have the dry shaft on order. That'll be here possibly by the end of the week. And then we'll go ahead and start doing brake lines. I'm going to start doing the Holley Terminator X Max wiring harnesses. And then we can go to plumbing. And right now my plan is to make this a completely running, driving NA motor, so that the truck can be moved around and doesn't have to be pushed. And then we can start working on the hot and cold side stuff when we're done with that. Being this is a Saturday project vehicle, it'll take some time before we get that done. But kind of the things I'm thinking is mounting 2 intercoolers upright and building one cap for the top, so it'll go into the throttle body. Let me bring that picture back. So you can see in this picture, we put the intercooler where the radiator and condenser normally sit, and I make a single outlet that'll come out right here, and it'll be a straight shot to the throttle body, and then we'll mount the radiator past behind the core support, and then possibly the AC condenser we'll use an aftermarket one and lay it down. Like I said, it'd be horizontally underneath the front of the truck, and make a scoop to pull the air up into it. Trying to just get the intercoolers not to have any blockage. And with these trucks, there's not a lot of grill area, so there's not a lot of room to put intercoolers in front of the AC condenser and stuff. So, like I said, my idea right now is to put the intercoolers where the AC and radiator normally sit, move the radiator farther back, and then remote mount the AC condenser. Whether we do fit it there or we fit it under the cab with fans, we'll see how we do that in the future. I'm going to use 90-degree turns from the on here. 90-degree turns from the turbos. Those turbos will be up here, mounted up in the corners on both sides, and then obviously we'll have to remote mount the battery also. But it'll just make the engine bay really clean, and hopefully make a lot of room, so in case the turbos don't work, we can go to a different size turbo down the road. But we're trying to get to the point where it's just running, driving, and making about 600-700 horsepower. It's not going to be a race vehicle or anything like that, so there's really no need to go over that much horsepower, because it'll be pretty much undrivable. But we'll see. You know, it's going to be a build-in project. We're build in progress. We're using the turbos because we had them, and we got them on a really good deal. So at this point, that money's spent, so they're kind of free. At least that's how I want to look at it. Darren says, have you considered liquid intercoolers, maybe 2 smaller ones? I have, but then you have to have a heat exchanger and a liquid pump, and it just creates a lot more components. So I was thinking of using like a 12 by 12 single in, single out intercooler core, but using 2 of them. And instead of using them in a cross flow, using them in an upright flow. So I would have the turbo pressure pipes going into the side of the, I'll make a bottom manifold. So it'd go into the bottom of it coming in from the sides, and then combine a triangle pyramid style top cap to both cores to join them together, and then have a single 4-inch outlet that goes right to the throttle body. I think that should be plenty of core, because it'll end up being 24 by 12, 24 by 14, something like that. So I think it'll have plenty of core size for whatever size turbos we use in the future. And being it's going to be a street vehicle, it's going to be, you know, the intercoolers would be in the wind all the time, so they would stay pretty cool. If it was going to be more of a drag vehicle, then I would definitely want to do a liquid intercooler where you could ice the core, the intercooler down, and chill it between runs. But it's just a lot more components to have in the truck, and we're trying to make this fairly simple and try not to overload Chuck's bank account too much. You know, he hangs out with me on Saturdays and helps around the shop and stuff, and goes to races and helps me out and stuff. So I kind of want to do this on a minimal amount of money for him, so that you know, he can have his nice twin turbo show truck to go cruising around in and stuff, and not be $1 million. But it's working really well so far. The hood shuts, and we have about 1 inch clearance above the high ram manifold, so the hood fits no problem. So that was good. When we stuck the engine in the truck, it did look awful tall, and weren't sure how that was going to work out. So, but it did work out well, and so that's all good. Now we can start, like I said, start wiring and plumbing the vehicle, and get it running, and then keep the project moving from there. So that's pretty much the update on Chuck's truck. So now I want to go ahead and show you the new additions to the Allnick C60 8100 Vortec Allison conversion. Maybe we'll go ahead and let's. So I made, there's some videos and there's some pictures. So I'll show you the videos, and then, or I'll let the videos play, and then we'll talk over the pictures. For the Allnick project, I've got to build the TCU harness for the Allison, make a mount for the Terminator X for the engine control, and a console for the shifter. So my initial drawing is going to be an aluminum box with the shifter and both ECUs mounted inside the box. And it'll be mounted over top of the original shifter hole, manual shift hole, and the wiring harness can go down through the floor through there. And I also have to build this fan shroud, or cooler shroud, for these two oil coolers. One for the engine, one for the transmission. That's going to mount between the frame rails under the bumper and have a big scoop on the front to force air from underneath the bumper through the coolers. So that's the next thing we have to do on the Allnick, since the engine and transmission is fully installed. And then exhaust, wiring, and fire. Oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. For the Allnick project. Hang on a minute, let me see what I did wrong here. Alright, so what is, go this way. So, anyway, so, go ahead and I'll put the pictures up while I'm talking. So this is the drawing I made initially for the Allison shifter console. So I found the shifter through a step van manufacturer, Mills Supply. So that's a dash mount Allison shifter, comes with a cable and the brackets and stuff for the Allison transmission. So this was my rough drawings. Now, of course, one big caveat here is that the truck is 25 miles away. So I just kind of got a chair and sat where I thought it was about right in my truck and kind of measured off the floor in my truck and kind of got the dimensions for it. But my biggest idea was, this is looking at it from the rear, and that I could mount the Allison TCU and the Holley Terminator X inside the box, because on the C60, even though it is a square body truck, the firewall is back farther through the center because of the it's more of a cab over style engine bay. So the cowling in the firewall is different than a regular square body. So there's no room under the dash to mount anything. The AC completely engulfs the passenger side and the center of the behind the dash. In fact, the heater ducts and stuff actually protrude underneath the dash because there's no room. And of course, on the driver's side, you've got all the gauges and everything in the steering column and the pedal assemblies. So there's just no room to put ECUs there. So it was either going to be mount them underneath the seat, or my idea was inside the shift console, which I thought was a pretty good idea. So go back to the picture. So here's laying out some of the components. There's the TCU for the Allison. I got the TCU, and this is the wiring harness kit. That is from transtuner.com. He specializes in larger transmission swaps for diesel-powered trucks and stuff like that. So he uses the big Chrysler Trans and the Allisons put behind Cummins and different Duramax and different engines like that. So he's got all that stuff done. So that worked out real well. Of course, we're using Terminator X for the engine management. The 8100 is a 24X 1X with coil on plug, so it's very similar to an LS. So I've used this box before on a couple other 8100 builds, and it works great. So I welded some flanges on the back side, of the boxes to be able to bolt to the floor and to the rear cover, access cover. Just a couple. This will be like the rear access, and just be looking at it from the back of the seat. And that was the top piece with the brackets for the dash mounted shifter to locate. And then here's the front piece in position. It's not welded in. I'm just kind of laying it out, seeing how it's all going to work. And then there's the passenger side, and that's kind of how it would, if you're looking at it from the seat towards the dash, that's kind of how it would be located in the vehicle. And the side shot. And there's with the cover on it. Side shot on there too, so you can kind of see I've got it sloped so it's angled, so the LED lights that'll be mounted on there for check engine, trans overheat, shift tow mode, and the tow mode switches. You'll be able to see all that stuff from the driver's seat without having to look for it. And there I got it on the bench, and I'm getting ready to start tacking the pieces together. Now I think, let me switch back here. Let me just double check. I think it should be, okay, I think it's going to show the, so let me go back now and see if I thought I had these arranged so it would go in the welding sequence. So there's the, using the square of the tubing to keep the square of the box as I tack it and weld it. Now, one of the things I'm going to show when we get into a welding tech tip is that you can use steel, solid steel or solid aluminum to back your joints when you're welding corners, and absorbs all the heat, and that way it allows you to weld very thin aluminum and not burn through. It's really cool technique that people use to do that. But there, being I had that box in there, I'm able to flip the piece over. So now that I can go ahead and weld it. You can see I've got. See if the next picture has. You can see I put some tack welds there so to hold it together. Now there it's fully welded, and that didn't get the video. So let me see where the video is at. It was supposed to show the video. Let me bring the video up. Okay, so we saw the image with it tacked in position. That's where we're at now, and I'm going to go ahead and lay the weld down. Well, actually, I'm going to tack first. And that's the problem why I can't do a tech article right now, because the weld flame is so bright to the camera, you can't see the puddling. So I wasn't sure how it was going to come out, but at least you can kind of get the gist of what I'm building, and we'll save the welding tech for a future episode. We tack the corners, and of course, being that I've got the steel block in the middle, it keeps it from warping because, or lifting, because I've got the steel piece in there clamped in place. What you can't see is I've got the puddle, I'm working the puddle left to right, and I'm dabbing it with the filler rod to create the puddle. And when I pull away, you'll see a nice little row there. There you can see the nice little row of dimes. So now we're going to go ahead and finish welding this entire thing. One of the things I did on this console, because we're going to go ahead and finish it off, grind all the welds, and paint it, and make it look like it was a formed console, is I'm using 090 aluminum on this, which is a little bit on the heavier side. But what I can do is lay the two corner joints, the inner edges together, so that way it creates a V. And I can fill the weld in the V, and then we can grind it. You'll see later that it makes a nice rolled edge when it's all finished. And I don't sacrifice the strength of the weld because I'm not grinding the actual penetrated part of the weld. I'm only grinding off the outer layer of it. You're actually, stop it right here, you can actually kind of see right here in this corner that there's an open, a flat there and a flat there, and we're welding the inside and the outside all in one shot. And that way it makes a really strong joint, and you can round it off really nicely. And it would have been pretty cool to leave the welds exposed, but to make it look nicer in the truck, being it's an interior piece, and we kind of want to make it look like it may have been do that. You know, we can see that. Can you video through a weld scope? Well, that may be an another thing is using a weld glass as the filter. I was hoping I could get something like that that would actually just connect to the camera. I won't have to make some kind of rig. So I'm not 100% sure how the focus is going to work putting a lens, you know, unless it's like right up against the screen. So I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the best way of doing it, and hopefully the least amount of effort. But so yeah, there's that weld done. Okay. For some reason, it keeps skipping forward. So let me fix this. Okay. So we're here. Okay. Yeah, so there's some close-up of the little rows of dimes, so to speak. I didn't get real crazy with this because, again, I'm going to grind it down. And I was kind of trying to get this thing done in a timely manner. But if it was going to leave the welds, I would have took a little bit more time and a little bit lower heat, and I could have made them look even a lot better than they do there. So that's just another close-up of the weld. So then I got the top of the piece on. Now that the bottom side, 3 sides of the box are done, you can see I put it in the brake and bent the top over. Just thought that was a nice finished look on the for the box. There's the back side. You can see that would be the side where we go in to manipulate the ECUs, plug in and stuff like that, do the wiring and all that stuff. And there's the front leading edge. Of course, that'll all get welded. Now, I think here is supposed to be another video. Let me see if it pops up. Yes, it did. Okay. So here, I'm going to tack the 4 corners, and I can remove the tape. One of the things that you guys look at, let me move this back a little bit. This is a very sweet tool that my wife bought me for Christmas. She asked me what I wanted. I said I want an arm steady rest. So one of the hard parts about welding aluminum or anything, stainless or anything for that matter, is when you're on the welding table and you start to get a tall project, is trying to keep the torch calm or steady while you're welding. What will happen is you start moving or twitching in the very slightest amount, and you can stick the filler rod into the tungsten, and it makes a contaminated weld. It takes a lot of time to go back and clean everything. So this steady rest, you'll see I rest my arm on it, and that makes the torch side very solid. And it has a couple different adjustments, and it has 2 pivot points, so you can follow the weld back and forth and in a smooth manner. You'll see me do that with this. that armrest is a lifesaver. It's totally changed what I'm doing. And you can see I just move it to a different spot, and I'm still got my steady hand on the torch. And of course, I love that little torch I have, which the head rotates 360 degrees, so you can get different angles very quickly. And one thing I didn't know with my helmet down is the console was switching the whole time I was hacking it together. So it was interesting when I watched the video. I'm like, wow, that was messed up. But yeah, the filler rod hand, you can move that around and stuff. It doesn't affect the weld as much. But the torch side really needs to be as solid as it can get. So yeah, so I got that all tacked in place. Go ahead and remove my masking tape. That was just to hold everything in place. And then I can go ahead and start laying some weld passes down. That should be up here in a second. With some moving the camera around and stuff like that. So let me stop it here so you can see. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the arm control to a different location now. And you see, during this weld, I'm able to follow the weld with the steady rest on my wrist the whole time. Well, I get after I tack it in place. I got ahead of myself. And one of the things you don't hardly even see, but if you do watch, you'll watch my fingers. I actually advance the filler rod with my fingers. I do it so effortlessly, I don't even realize I'm doing it. So like right there, I'm just using it till I get close. I'll start with a really long piece, and once I start getting close to the weld, I'll start advancing the filler rod. And from, not that I weld that much, but enough welding that I do, I do that and I don't even realize I'm doing it. Of course, all you do is position the steady rest and keep on going. So that's what we did with that, and then I'll show you. Here's a couple final pictures. Now, that's with the shifter in place, and you can see the bolts on the side. That's got the ECUs mounted in it. That's looking from where you would be actually looking down from the driver's seat. And there's the TCU and the engine ECU mounted inside with the bracket and the cable going down the center. So it should work out well. And then of course there'll be a rear plate that'll bolt on back here into this flange here to cover it all up when we're not accessing that. Another picture there. And then I wanted to show you here, this is with some of the grinding done, and you can see I had to make a modification down here. I wanted to move the console a little farther away from the seat, so I flattened the front leading edge of it and welded it. I haven't done any grinding on there, but you can see that with that weld, I can grind the weld down and then use a block and sanding. I still have DA sanding to do it, but you can see it makes a nice round finish there, and it didn't break through the weld. If I had welded it outer edge to outer edge and you ground it down, you would actually grind it so thin that there would be nothing holding the two pieces back together, and it would crack eventually. But welding it with the V in there, like I said, the weld that's holding the two pieces there is still there. All we did was just took off the top layer of it. There's the back side of it, passenger side, front leading edge, and again you can see, man, really nice finish the way it came out. That's just a little edge that has the weld is a little left a edge weld. It's not cracked. So I got some more sanding to do to it and stuff. We'll get that all done up. There's another picture there. So then I moved on to the wiring harness for the transmission. So like I showed earlier, the transmissiontuner.com, his kit is 10 feet of wiring for everything, and you have to build the harness. So again, I use my boards like I normally do. We've talked about this in some of the older shows, and if you go back and look at the older live shows / podcasts, you can see a couple of them that have stuff about wiring in them, and you can see how we did it. But basically what I do, I use a vacuum hose, and I go from a certain spot, which this joint right here, let me highlight that a little bit. Right here, these two screws is basically where the floor of the truck is. So all this harness up here is going to be in the console, and then from here down would be under the truck. And let me go back. So then what I do is I take rubber hose and I go from here to each sensor and write down my lengths, and then that tells me how long I need to make these harnesses. And using a piece of clear 3/8 vinyl hose, the hose kind of is like the shape of a wiring harness, so you can kind of shape it to go around obstacles and stuff to get it so you can see how it's going to lay out and stuff. So that's what I lay out on these boards. I put screws in the board where all the sensors are going to be with measurements, and then I just build everything to those points. So there's the TCU connectors, which those you have to, he only comes with the power and ground pre-terminated. You have to terminate everything out after that, along with the ALDL connector and all that. And there's the actual trans plug and the connectors for the input speed sensor, output speed sensor, and turbine speed sensor. And there's the harness fully done. So there's our clear and gray and red connectors for the ECU. This is our reverse lights and neutral safety. There's our power and grounds, and then this connector here is going to be for all of our LEDs, check engine light, overheat light, tow haul mode light, and then a light for the. He also puts a system in where you can shut fifth gear off, so that works out real well for towing. There's our OBD2 port, so we can scan the Allison transmission for fault codes and for data. And then here's our main connector. There's our 3 speed connectors, and then there's our NSU and neutral safety switch controller. So that gives us the whole harness for the transmission all done up, ready to install. And there's just another connector, and of course I don't normally use the convolute tubing, but since he supplies it in the kit and all these ends have the proper connector to join to the convolute tubing, I went ahead and used them. And because of that, you don't see the wiring. I went ahead and labeled, that's the output speed sensor, that's the turbine speed sensor, and this one flipped over, but that's the input speed sensor. That way when we're putting it in the truck, we know which one goes where without having to open up the harnesses. And this another shot of the top. And that's pretty much it. So I wanted to get into some welding stuff, but like I said, I got to source out this filter setup. And the next thing I have to do now on the Allneck is I got to go ahead and modify the engine ECU harness, the Terminator X harness. While I was at the DNR and I fitted the console and seen the changes I wanted to make to it, I went ahead and installed the trans harness. It fits great. And I was able to then take my vinyl hose and make all my measurements for the engine management. And so now I'll go ahead and get that built. And then next time I take the console back up, I'll be able to, should be ready to install it and install the harnesses and stuff. So get that project a little farther along, get it ready to assemble. Now, as far as the changes I've made to the console, like I said, I've flattened that front leading edge out a little bit to move the console forward about an inch. And I think I'm going to lower it. I'm going to put the ECUs back in, and I think I'm going to lower it because it's actually even with the top of the top of the bench seat right now, because I didn't take in consideration that big truck would have a big hump in the center to cover the Clark 5-speed manual transmission that was in the truck. So when I measured it off of my pickup truck, it didn't have that, so it didn't measure the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and I think I'm gonna take 2 inches out of that, drop the shifter down a little bit. It'll give a little bit more clearance to the ashtray, so we can use the cigarette lighter for power output, power input, and I think it'll make it fit the vehicle better. Right now, it kind of looks big in there because there's not a lot of room between the seat and the dash, and the way the square body cab, the dash is set up. You guys remember, if you get square bodies, the console part or the gauge cluster part kind of is out farther than the passenger side of the dash. So when the console is in there, it's kind of really tight to the radio, and then a little bit farther gap from like the ashtray. The ashtray will fully open, but it does rest against the console. So I think if I lower it down an inch or two, it's just going to make all the fitment better. The ashtray should then clear without touching the console, and move the shifter down closer to the top of the seat. I mean, it's not going to be like a stick shift where you got to use it all the time. You're just going to drop it and drive and go. And I got to work on the 2-speeder in. I got to find a new switch for that because the switch that came in the truck is actually made to clamp to the side of the shifter stalk on the 5-speed manual, and it doesn't come apart and it has no way of holding it. So I'm going to figure out a new switch for that. I don't think we need the high-low for much use in the truck, except for maybe starting off on a real steep grade to pull off or climb a hill or something like that. We may need the low range for that. So in high range, it's got a 559 gear, and then in low range, it's like I think it's a 763. So it's nice that it's there because that just splits the rear end ratios quite a bit. But I don't think we're going to need it with the Allison, because the Allison's got a nice gear selection plus overdrive. And I think what I figured out with the tire height and with the overdrive, I believe the truck's going to be like 70 miles an hour, like 1,800 RPMs. So it should be able to roll 75 miles an hour, no problem at all, which would be nice for long distance trips. So you can get moving along when you're having to tow at a slower speed. It does add time to the trip, and when you're towing 14, 18 hours to like from South Florida to Bowling Green, or if we wanted to go to Carlisle and Pennsylvania or any of these other shows, it just adds a bunch of extra time to the trip. We look on our Google Maps or Waze, and it says, oh, we pick a spot 12 hours away, we get a hotel, and we get on the road and find out that we don't it ends up taking 14, 15 hours to get to the hotel. It's kind of bothersome, especially Scott, my buddy, doesn't like to drive at night in the truck. So I think this is all going to just make the drive more pleasurable and get it more closer to our timing, so we can do our trip planning a little better and stuff. So that's the updates on those two projects. I am going to get some stuff done on Dave's car. I got to raise the car up. The springs have taken a seat, which we know they usually do, and so now it's a little low to the ground. So I want to get that corrected and get the proper oil level set up in it so we can start driving. He's got a tag on it now and insurance, so that allows me to start putting some mileage on the car, and we can start working on our punch out list for anything that arises from the road test, so that when we give Kim and Dave the car back, they know they can drive it with confidence and go to different car shows and wherever they want to take their car and take trips or whatever they want to do with it. So that's just a normal way I like to do things. And I did get the fittings in now for the T-type, so now I can get the turbo remounted and start getting back on that thing. Like I said last week, I didn't have to pull the engine out. I did find there was a turbo drain back above the timing cover I was unaware of. So once I started dismantling the accessories and stuff, I saw that and figured out what we needed to do there. So that's great. We don't have to pull that motor out. So get back on that project. It kind of got back burnered because I really wasn't in the mood to pull the engine out when that was something we didn't plan on. And I'm going to try to get my buddy Finn's Corvette back in here. If you guys remember, a month or two ago, I showed you the rusted out gas tank and the sniper that was installed incorrectly. So we made the adjustments on the sniper. He took the car back. We got him a EFI tank. He had his mechanic put the tank in. That fixed all that stuff. So now he's going to bring it back. We're going to put a proper distributor in the car so that it will have magnetic timing and be able to use the factory mechanical tack, and then we'll connect that to the sniper and the 6A ignition box, so we have computer controlled timing, and that'll finish up the sniper install on that vehicle. So I'm going to try to do that on Friday, so I'll have some video on that for next week. So that's pretty much all the updates I have for this week. We got, like I said, if you haven't seen it, I did drop the part 4 of the Cup Car video in. I did re-watch it, but I think in the video I say it's part 3, but we made the LS trip part 3, so this is actually part 4. I did get it right in the title, but I don't know if I got it right in the video. But that's out there now, and I'm going to try to get the Darlington event with Stock Car Classics, get that out by Saturday. And then we'll do, I'll get the following week, I'll try to get part 6 out with the transmission. And then probably part 7, we'll do a wrap-up video on the car to where we are currently with it. So that's just kind of where we're at with that. And being that project is kind of coming to a close, that's going to allow me to get back on the Vet Hawk, which is what I've really been trying to do. That's the vehicle that I really want finished. I had hopes that we could have it assembled in raw form and maybe with an engine running for LS Fest this year. I'm still going to give it a shot. I don't, time is flying by. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but that's what we are going to try to do. It definitely will not be finished, but I thought it'd be really nice to have the car roughed in and be able to shake it out on the autocross track up there and kind of see where the car's at to make sure that all the engineering that we designed up to that point is correct, and before the car gets blown apart and put in paint and all the final stuff, interior and air conditioning and all the bells and whistles that would go in at the end. So we'll see how that goes. If the Cup car gets sold and the engine does not go with it, then we'll use that engine we'll use that as the startup engine for the Vet Hawk, and we'll do the 427 later because that's going to get dry sump and everything else. So that's going to be a bit more, and it has to be assembled yet. So that's another project that would have to be done before LS Fest. So if we have a running engine to stick in there, that'll be even better. I do have a used LS 350 I could use also, so we'll figure out that. Mike asked if I have an alternator guide. So there's one shop up in Riviera Beach that Doug and I have both used. It's down by his other place. I don't have the name right with me right now, Mike, but I can text you his information. And Mike, I don't know if you were here when we did our when I was showing some engine blueprinting stuff, and I was showing the 8100 in different forms of assembly when I was doing it. If you remember back, we were talking about fasteners and stuff and blueprinting when I was showing the tools and stuff necessary to do the blueprinting. And Mike and I had talked about the yield to stretch. Now, Mike's a line mechanic for GM, and he has seen, and so have I, that when you use the torque to yield, the torque wrench will usually give you the final torque, wherever that was at that 90 degree or whatever that rotation is. So when I was doing the short block on the 8100, which I used, that motor being stock, I used all factory fasteners on it, and they were all used fasteners. So I kind of wanted to do some investigative work, so to speak. So the first time I torqued all the caps down, you know, just going, they torqued to 22 and then you go 90. So I wasn't really paying attention. You know, 22, especially with a long torque wrench, it's really easy to go beyond the 22. And the new torque wrenches have lights and a buzzer, not a click. So I don't know. I'm kind of, seems like I'm sloppy with it, so to speak. So when I did that, I wrote down all my numbers, and Mike is 100% right. My torque to yield numbers were all over the place. I had a pretty good range. I had like a 25, 30 foot-pound variation between all the main bolts. And that got me thinking. So I went ahead and re-loosened everything. And the second go-around, I really took my time and made sure that I stopped at 22 foot-pounds on the initial torque. Now, again, the torque wrench will tell you when it buzzes, it's there. It still tells you how far you went. And I still, even trying to be as controlled as I could, I still was between 22.1 and 22.5. But most of them were 22.1. So then I went ahead and did the 90 degree torque to yield torque angle. And again, I took my time, tried to make clean, smooth pulls, and I did find that after I did that, that my numbers were a lot closer. Because we had, in the earlier conversation a couple of episodes ago, I had thought that you could see within about a 10% variation of the final torque. And sure enough, now these are used bolts that were torqued, I imagine at least once by the factory. Then I torqued them down, and they were torqued at the machine shop, and then I re-torqued them a third or fourth time. And at that point, they did torque relatively even. Like I said, about 10% either way. So I think the final torque ended up being about 95 average. So I did have some that were like 88, and I had some that were like around 90, 98, 99. So I just did that because I wanted to see how that would work out and to see if that would be a good fallback to make sure that if you're reusing torque to yield bolts, which they tell you have to change out, I don't believe so. They're not a stretch bolt. They're just a bolt that they're using for that method of tightening. So it seemed to work out very well, but it does take a lot of time to make sure that your initial torque is set properly and that your torque to yield torque angle is done smoothly and to correct ending spot. Now, again, like Mike said, try that when the motor is in the car. You can't do it. It's just impossible. You're torquing on corners and everything else. Mike says, I wonder if it has to do with the seasoning bolts over a new one. there is a possibility. I haven't taken a new bolt and a seasoned bolt and torqued them in the same block to see if they have a difference. That will be my next. I will try that next. I want to get down to the bottom of this torque to yield situation, just so that for my own sanity, so to speak. But we'll see how that all works out. I'll keep you guys updated on that, and maybe once I find all the final information, we'll readdress that. It is a deal that we, sometimes we're going to have to start going back over some of the older episodes and redoing them again. Some people don't get to see them, and I doubt anybody's going to go back to episode 1 and watch all 91 episodes that we are currently at now. So, and in the original ones, I didn't specify what the tech issues were, or tech talk was in those videos. So, as I learn, I'm trying to make them more and more applicable in the title and in the descriptions, so that they're better, easier to find in the long run. But anyway, that's kind of where we're at. Remember, hit the like button. It helps the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't. It's free. If you ring the bell, you'll get instant notification whenever I put a new video out, and all those happy things. I hope you guys all have a great week. We're nearing that 100th episode. We got, I guess that's 8 more weeks before that episode. So maybe that'll be be a really good episode to do the welding episode. But I'll try to keep some more tech stuff coming, and of course we'll keep the updates coming on the projects we're doing in the shop, and we'll just keep trying to get some work done. And hope you guys are making progress on your projects, and we'll see what happens. So you all have a great week, and we'll talk to you all next week. See ya.